Great. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Thanks, Paul. All right. And then I'm going to share this presentation now. So, Paul, let's jump into this. Artificial intelligence for businesses in Malawi. Why are we doing this? Why is this so important?
I think actually, like so much of what MKAI is about is we're about helping, and part of that helping particularly kicked in during lockdown, Milton Keynes, and we were based, our focus began as an organization. We were based in the business community that we lived in, and we were becoming aware that businesses were dying, pivoted, and some had started to embrace some of the technological opportunities that actually has helped them to emerge from lockdown. And I think we're here because as we've connected around the world, and this one's about businesses in Malawi, we're wanting to share some of our discovery and get you thinking about how AI may well help your company continue to emerge in a very... do we need to mute Tiara? Yeah, so we're opening a dialogue, but you're going to get the opportunity, we hope, to be surprised at where you might take AI in your own business. So I think we're here because there's some really important learning to share that began during lockdown.
Yeah, beautifully put. Thank you so much. You love this slide that I've put in for you. That's it hasn't jumped into it. That's strange. And the slide says how to sabotage this workshop, which is always fascinating. So what would you say are the ways to sabotage this workshop, and how do we avoid that?
Well, I think actually anyone that sabotages this workshop is going to be sabotaging themselves to an extent, because we know there's a version of Zoom meetings where people just share lots of slides, and maybe there's some polite conversation in the chat. And that's okay, but if we want to be interactive and learn from each other, discussion has to happen. And so everyone here is going to sabotage if they don't put their cameras on, if they step away from the screen and multitask with other things, if they don't join the conversation, you know, if they're not prepared to share. And I always notice when you've got 20, 30 people in a meeting, that's hundreds of years of life experience in one room. It's crazy if just one person shares that from the front. So we are going to share a little bit of kind of knowledge, but that's always going to be as an input to a discussion and a chance for you to explore and learn, as you'll see. So please, if you'd like this workshop to be a disaster, please don't contribute. Please don't put your microphones on. Please don't ask questions, and just expect to be like food fed.
Okay, that's a very good point. So let's just check in with a few people. So before we jump into this, Edward, are you there?
I'm here.
Excellent. So what brings you here today?
Well, I'm interested in learning from your experience when it comes to this particular subject, because it seems in Malawi, we have not done much in this particular area. So for us, we could be commencing from zero. But I hope with your experience, we'll quickly jumpstart.
Fantastic. And what's your business or your work?
Well, I am in academics. I actually teach business-related courses.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. Okay. We're in good company then. Thank you so much. And Chikumbutso, I see that you've put your camera on. That's brilliant. What brings you today?
Hello, hi. So I'm mostly also here to learn and to hear what you guys have for us today. Yeah, so mostly it's to learn and to hear what you guys have for us. I am personally an entrepreneur, but I'm also working in the civil service. So I'd like to see how AI can help me in my business, and my businesses, and possibly to just make my business better. And how, anyway, because my idea is AI will definitely help me streamline some functions in my business, possibly. So anyway, I'm just really open-minded. I'd like to see what you guys have for us and that I could learn from you guys. So yeah, thank you for having me.
And we learn from you. So thank you so much for being here. Yeah, thanks for putting that camera on, if that's okay. Edward, you've got yours on. That's fantastic. Obviously optional, no pressure, but it's just really nice to see who's in the room. Menard, are you there? What about GH? Are you there, GH? Staying quiet. Daniel? Hey, there you are.
Okay, so is my camera on? Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, we see you, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm working with the Minister of Health, and I've always been fascinated with artificial intelligence, and I'm just trying to get my foot into it and see how best I can utilize the technology in the ministry. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this and see how best I can employ AI in health.
Fantastic. Oh, we're very, very glad to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Jumping into this stuff, and thank you so much. Emmanuel, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Very well, thank you for asking. So what brings you?
Actually, with me, it comes far from 21st May when I was approached by MKAI representative, whether to have artificial intelligence clinics in Malawi. And we had a conversation whereby I assured them that it's actually a welcome idea, because I'm doing a lot of consultancies in digitalization. I've also done a couple of presentations on artificial intelligence in a couple of platforms in Malawi. And I said, no, come on, let's see what can contribute to Malawi in terms of digital transformation. Then I'm here now to see what content you have, what research you've done so far in trying to bring, to bring something new and inspire the community here on how to utilize artificial intelligence. I know we have a long way to go, but at least there are some few things happening. I think in Malawi, currently I'm with the Minister of Health under the digital supply chain component, HTSS Pharmaceuticals, and I'm also fostering the digital health, digital supply chain health architecture, more kind of a strategy implementation under USAID. So I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I know we exchanged some messages. It's really nice to see you here now on the day. That's terrific. Welcome. CJ, Tiara, do you want to say hello from us for a moment? Be great just to hear from you for a few seconds.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Tiara.
Sorry, go ahead, Tiara.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Tiara Webb, and with CJ, I work at the Office of the Privacy Commissioner in Bermuda, and I'm on the engagement and marketing team at CJ.
Sorry, my device is moving a bit slow today, maybe because it's Friday, but good morning, everyone. My name is Siobhan Clark-Joe. I'm the Assistant Commissioner at the Office of the Privacy Commissioner in Bermuda, and we're sitting in on the call to hear more about what MKAI provides to organizations and nations. So I'm really excited to be on the call with you, and I look forward to hearing more.
Wonderful. You're both incredibly welcome, and welcome from Bermuda to see what we might plan in the future as well. You're a very special guest today. So
thank you.
Wonderful. Let's bring other people into this conversation, Paul, as we go on through. So these are some slides that you put up before. So this is the stuff you were talking about to begin with, Paul, isn't it? About that there's, it's really tough out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess this is the story that leads to us all being here. And I mentioned that we are at home in Milton Keynes. And the starting point actually in the UK was that there was evidence coming out recently that 1 out of 4 business executives has serious concerns about defaulting on loans, that businesses here in the UK are still in a state of survival. And they have quite low amounts of money. And one of the myths I'd like to explode for everybody here is when you see all those kind of tech YouTube videos and news stories about robots that look like people and huge big data projects, you know, and that kind of stuff, though that is very much part of the world of AI, actually the AI that we're interested in is stuff you can try for free tomorrow. Are AI tools that are very, very much already in existence and people are more or less aware of them. In a lot of cases, the awareness is low. But in Milton Keynes, which is a kind of modern city, when it was first made, it was kind of an experiment in urban design. Those companies show quite a lot of interest already in tech. And so that's what these few slides are just going to give us a background before we do a little bit of work together. So if you could just take us forward.
Ah,
Richard.
there it is.
We found that sabotage
found
slide.
the slide that we wanted. We've done that one. Yeah.
So, please, everyone, in order not to be sabotaging saboteurs, please put stuff in the chat. Please ask questions and make kind of challenges. But let's just go a little bit more deep into the UK situation. This is from research. 24% of businesses are still with concerns about the ability to retain their employees in the current financial situation. And there's a challenge for all of us, which is if in some cases we can't afford to employ people, AI doesn't necessarily replace people. It actually makes the employment that's there more viable, as we'll have a look at. You know, and that's similar in terms of sustaining supply chains. It's another problem in the UK at the moment is we just simply can't get the parts to make our products.
Yes.
You know, and there are difficulties in the UK about food shortages at the moment, and we're well aware of shortages in energy supplies and so on. So that's just another background challenge to the businesses here that may ring bells for you over in Malawi and elsewhere. Just a little bit more of the story, Richard, if we can. Here's another number. I just find these interesting because they do point out the challenge. 28% of businesses have got expectations of reducing headcount as a consequence of the pandemic. So how can AI actually be a positive influence on that and not something that makes the organizations even more worried in a lot of ways? And we'll see some examples of that as well. 36% of businesses are postponing growth projects. But interestingly, actually in Milton Keynes, that's changing. And I've looked to keep that up to date, is people are now turning to technology for a positive way to encourage growth and sustainability in their businesses. Last few little facts, I guess, before we move on. Take us forward, Richard.
Yeah, it's this numbers, isn't it? 1 in 4 businesses don't make it more than 18 months. It's large numbers. And you know, the advantage for small businesses, you know, in my opinion, of course, is that agility that you can incorporate new technologies in a way that larger companies cannot. And even ones that we think are impressive. I mean, let's not forget Twitter, you know, it's supposed to be a leading tech company. Well, when, I don't know if you remember, who remembers when Donald Trump's password was breached? We just see some hands in the air or icons. Who remembers that when they discovered what his password? Yeah, Sean's waving. Yeah. So Tiara, yeah. So you know what happened there? They looked into it and they found that 1,200 people had the master password for Twitter in that organization. And not only that, of that 1,200 people, many of them no longer worked for Twitter and still had the master password, right? Yeah. That's a leading tech company. So you look at smaller agile companies, well, that's the opportunity. How do you move faster and not be held back by all these incumbent legacy, broken big systems that actually prevent companies from really changing and developing? Rupa, you've got your hand up to say something?
No, Richard, I was just responding to your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Just checking.
And just to dive in further into that, Richard, my background is I've worked in the Centre for Research and Innovation Management in the University of Brighton for years. And these figures were pretty much the same 10, 15 years ago. A third of businesses do not reach 18 months because they have not got the basic skills of surviving. They don't even have basic planning skills. But the other percentage are companies that fail to innovate. And the biggest danger here in this world of AI is that people keep waiting and watching and saying they don't know enough, or they're not ready, or they get put off by the influencers on YouTube, making it all sound like science fiction, or selling, you know, a product that hasn't been properly tested. But hopefully by the end of this session, everybody here, including the MKAI team, will have the ability to experiment with a bit of AI in their working practices, or in your businesses, or in your ministries, or in your universities. You can make an experiment tomorrow. And that's what we're going to dive into.
Yeah. So, Owen, is this AI?
There's a calculator. Owen, is that AI, do you think?
Owen's pondering.
In the meantime, in the chat, could I ask everybody with a yes or no? Let's just keep it simple. Can you type yes if you think that that calculator is an example of AI, and no if you don't think it is?
Peter says yes.
Quite a few no's.
Input so no, Rupa no, say up and no. Okay, so it's mostly no's, which is, I mean, this, you know, it's all perspective, isn't it? For me, it's put no question mark. Hedging. What were you expecting, Paul? Were you expecting
What do you
yes
think,
or
Richard?
no?
What will you score? How about you, Richard? I wanted to know what you think.
It doesn't fit my definition of AI. No.
Okay.
And you?
So why not? I'll reveal in a moment. Peter, why did you say it is?
So my understanding of AI is using computers, or yeah, I'll say computers, to simplify something that humans can do.
But that fits the bill, doesn't it, Paul?
Yeah, so here what we have is a piece of technology that takes existing human intelligence and enhances it in some way. You know, it can do calculations that are more complex than we can do. It can do things faster. You know, just notice, it's not necessarily whether it is a right or wrong, but where your starting point here is. What is your attitude? This reveals a lot to me, Richard, when somebody says that's and simple definition and openness to the idea that a technology that enhances human ability in some way, and it's artificial, therefore is artificial intelligence. You'd say not, Richard?
I mean, I think it's all a timeline thing, isn't it? I think there's a sense of me that feels like AI describes the next thing that we don't think is possible yet. And so to put this calculation into something this small and run it on a solar panel, a lot of places, I mean, at one point was phenomenal. And now we take it for granted. But I think that's the case. You know, there'll be a day when we don't call autonomous vehicles AI. We say, well, yeah, but that's simple, isn't it? AI is ... you know.
So for me, one is a quite kind of idealistic view of AI. This one is a very functional one that just says, hey, you know, just because a tool is very simple, if it makes the human condition easier or enhances it, it doesn't have to qualify to be called AI. My belief is it's not only is that AI, but it's important that we see it as AI, because the danger otherwise is we keep hyping. We end up hyping everything and having quite a, you know, ultimately a narrow definition of what AI is.
Yeah. Soyapi, do you agree or disagree? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one to say. Yeah, my definition of this is something like where a device sort of does what would expect a human to do. And maybe expectations have changed, but computing huge numbers is something we expect computers and machines to do, maybe even better than humans. So yeah, that's why I think it's not. But yeah.
Yeah. So you're leaning into what Paul said. Stay on the line a minute, so Yapi, because the next one is Paul. What are you asking here? Like what, robotics or?
I guess as a social scientist, most attitude surveys of what is AI is if you ask somebody to point to an image and say which is AI, and if you showed them an image of a robot and an image of a calculator, the majority of people will point to the robot. I think what I'm suggesting is both are AI and one doesn't contradict the other, but having a narrow view of AI as only this is about to limit all the businesses represented here in terms of what they could do with AI tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, really good point. Okay, so let's get into the...
Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's get into this. Okay. You've touched on hype already, and I think this plays into this, doesn't it?
Most technology push is a solution looking for a problem. And at its best, it's when an inventor invents something that then when it's pushed out, harmonizes with the needs that are out there. But it's very much come from that wow moment. Actually, what we've got out there at the moment is a lot of so-called AI that is using a lot of marketing to try and get you to buy something you don't actually need. But underneath that, demand pull or need pull innovation is where you, in your organization, identifies, and this has happened with COVID, identifies a product, a service, a need that you want to meet. And actually that can be better met with some use of AI. It's not pushing something out just because it's there, just because it's cool, because you're a kind of technophile. It's actually the response to a real and genuine need that's out there. And the amount of AI there is far lower at the moment than hype push innovation.
I remember when I was a young guy, I was 17, 18, working in an electronics store during my holidays from university. And we went through a phase of selling every gadget for the kitchen had an LED display on it. And I remember one gentleman came in, he said, well, what's the point of the LED display on this toaster? And I said, because you're more likely to buy it. That's the only point of it having it on there, is guys love LED displays on gadgets. that's the point of it. And that's like smart toasters, smart doorbells, isn't it? Paul, just put the word smart before something and then you create a new solution looking for a problem.
Yeah, and I would say in big organizations like our National Health Service, technology push innovation led to a lot of very bad purchasing decisions and investment decisions. And actually, we've grown up because we've got less resources and people really are starting their AI journey from a real defined need amongst the patients or the staff in that organization. The danger is that you have a mindset where AI is kind of driven by cool and not driven by need.
Yeah. Owen, are you there? Sangwani, how about you? Okay.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. What do you think about that? What Paul's saying, that, you know, the problem with AI is trying to just sell cool stuff sometimes. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, he's probably right, because at the end of the day, the companies are really trying to sell their products. So once they do the research and they discover that people are actually into LEDs, they'll put LEDs onto everything. So yeah, I sort of agree with
remember that too.
Yeah. So the starting point for me, for everything else we're going to do, and hopefully Rupert will pick up on this later, is ask the question in the same way you would ask the question with any investment appraisal, which is, what need does this meet?
Yeah.
And if you think you've answered that correctly, ask it one more time, which is, what genuine need does this meet? Yes. And then what you'll find is there's some great AI opportunities for you and products that meet those needs, actually in a lot of cases far more effectively than the so-called AI that's being sold on the back of very big marketing budgets that only work at scale. And so you become the purchaser, not necessarily to meet a need, but because essentially you've been persuaded by marketing, and they're not the same thing. And
yeah, and that's what today's about. Today's not about setting up your first data science project and hiring data scientists and data and so on. Now, we can get into that stuff in due course, and that would be fantastic. But today's about that route into off-the-shelf, low-cost, no-cost, machine learning and AI-based applications that can make a difference in our businesses right now. So, Paul, are we ready to jump into this activity, do you think?
I think we are. And just the background to this is I would like to invite everyone on the MKAI team as well to be part of this, because this is always going to be a good thing for us to do for ourselves as well.
Yeah.
And so part of what that's about is just a few thoughts to go in. One is not knowing much about AI is not uncool. It's really okay to go into a place of being a beginner here. And what's useful about that is part of this may be to actually get rid of the hype that could be in you.
Losing you there, Paul. So where you can boost
but
your
the other
signal.
one is, and this is what we're going to do, is we're going to share with you a document in a moment, a screen, because I can just briefly talk. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you've got a choppy internet today, but we're getting there. It's okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Is that better?
It's 90% fine the whole time, so go for it.
Okay, right. Thank you. So I'm going. One sec. I'm going to share with you a whole load of possible AI ideas, solutions that actually, some of which you will have heard of, but some are going to be very revealing. And quite often you may not be aware that there are AI products and tools, many of which will let you try them out for free, that cover everything in your business, from managing your money better, to managing your security, to managing the factory floor, to improving the productivity and effectiveness as you as a leader, to making the workplace more safe, to improving your well-being, to helping you become more creative, better at producing marketing material. And that's all there now. And so I am giving you a little bit of homework to do in the next 10 minutes or so, which is going to be what is sometimes known as an embarrassing silence. I'm a big fan of embarrassing silences. And essentially, we're going to share a document with you, and then individually, we'd like you to just briefly look down this list of AI possibilities right now for your business or your organization, and follow your instinct. I'm not asking you at the moment to read all of this stuff. Click on the links in use case areas that you think, yeah, I'm quite interested in that, and go find out a little bit more about them. Some of these are links to web pages, some are links to companies offering this AI.
How many should people look at, Paul?
Richard,
kind of as many or few as they want.
I think you'll see. Yeah, but click on 3 that draw your instinctive attention, because they're all framed under nice headings that are solutions to real needs. Can you bring up that document just so I can show what we mean here?
Yeah, so let me just give a quick preview of that. So you've got the link there. That short link should take you there, but just shout if you have any issues getting to there. So yeah, Paul, this was some work by you to kind of put together the off-the-shelf stuff, which is not always that easy to find, actually. So you've done us a great service here. And then I put it into these categories.
Yeah, which is really helpful. So just briefly, you'll see we've got in the big bold letters here, the headings. And so these are, for example, the first ones are a bunch of artificial intelligence use cases for the workplace. I think there's about 4 of them. They're everything from AI in time management, AI in printing, doorbells and cameras, somebody already asked, business travel tools. But these are some possibilities. And if you go further down, we're then offering office management tools, even AI coffee makers that genuinely work. But then we've also got areas like AI tools for accessibility, an AI answer phone. This is all about process management. Customer service chatbots have come on a long way, and you could try one out today for free and see how it goes. Lots of others. Then we can go more into kind of stuff that's focused on improving really the relationship with your clients, writing and drafting contracts. Yes, there's legal AI around, but it can be site management, be that a factory or a large office using drones. 3D printing, language translation. I'm not going to go through them all. There are loads.
Yeah, but
and this is almost like
sales, marketing, business strategy, future of work. This is an incredible list. So make sure you save this link. It's not going anywhere. So refer back to it after this session.
But so in the next 10 minutes on your own, could you just look down as if you've got a Christmas wish list here, but no time to get all of it, and to choose three.
Yeah,
three
but just let me just check. Is anybody who's having trouble accessing that document with that smart link? Can I get some? Give me some thumbs up on the reactions here. Give me one of these. Just let me know that you're looking at that document, so that I know that we're on the same page. No pun intended. Team Bermuda, yes, great. Karen's in. That's great. Siap is in. Appeal is in. Apaya, sorry, English people can't pronounce names very well. Sorry, but I'm trying. Jerry's in. Okay. Should I say it? How's the best way to say it?
Yeah, it's pronounced Opile.
Opile?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I figured it was. Upile is clearly not the way to say it.
What we're going to do?
Really good.
Yeah. We're going to take 10 minutes from now. I've got 36 past the hour. So we'll actually say, give you a slight more time to have a look. Let's come back at 1:50. Is that okay?
2:50 local time, I think, right?
2:50 local time. Look down the list. You'll get a chance to look at them all later, but just go on an instinct of, I want to find out more about that one.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
We haven't got time to cover all of them. So just go with your gut. Just see something, and then we'll hop into some breakout rooms after that, Paul, right?
That's right. And then it's the classic. Just say why you chose the ones you chose. But all of them, you have the scope in the next 24 hours to go and find out a bit more. And you can Google them and you will find there are free trials, things to try out, use cases already published. Don't go in your comfort zone. Choose perhaps at least one. You didn't even know there was an AI in that area. But I've chosen them that they're all affordable and all available, and therefore all usable very, very quickly. Put your critical hat on, come back at 2:50 in Malawi time. So that's about just 13 minutes from now. And see what you come up with, and then be prepared to share in a smaller group why you chose those.
Just leave your Zoom on in the background, don't worry, and we'll just stay quiet in this session, and then I'll give a big shout in 13 minutes and we'll reconvene. So just keep it running in the background and enjoy. Look forward to hearing from you.
And MKAI team, it'd be really good to see which ones you chose in relation to your work or MKAI. See if we all agree on one or we all come up with different ones.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul. See you back here in 12 minutes.
Did you pick one, Richard?
Yeah, I was headed down to the bottom, actually, to the future of work area. Did you pick one?
Yeah, well, actually, having done this workshop, I seem to pick different ones at different times. And I got very interested in, there's all the usual ones, but for me, the whole thing about language translation and realizing actually that when English is the native language and the main language, it means we're not really paying as much respect as we can to international audiences. And if AA can start to translate better, and it seems it can, then we can look at how we can actually use translation in real time more effectively. And I'd like to look at that more.
It's not a million miles away from what I was looking at. So I was going into the sort of assisted decision-making from AI, and it's an area that fascinates me because I actually think there's some very bad decision-making that orientates from our human biases for short-termism and individualism and greed. And I think it's at the heart of like the climate crisis and these kind of things. So I'm really, Paul and I, we've spoken about this, haven't we? That, how do you insert AI into the loop here so that we stop being our own worst enemies, right? As a species on this planet. So yeah, that grabbed my attention. Vermeer, what did you look into? Sorry, Paul.
I was just going to say, and also for people that may have wondered who Fireflies is, who's attending this meeting, it's fireflies.ai. It's another example of a really helpful tool in meeting that people can download just about immediately and start using. What is Fireflies? here in this Zoom.
Well, although interestingly, it's a first come, first serve with Fireflies. So Vermeer's got Fireflies, I've got Fireflies, Job's got Fireflies, clearly because we can see it, but Job's the one that got in. It only lets one Fireflies in the meeting. So
yeah,
you got to have a quick assistant, right, Vermeer?
Absolutely. I mean, I find that Fireflies is kind of following me everywhere. Like I'll go to a cafe, Fireflies transcribes the order I have at a coffee shop. And I mean, it's everywhere. But I actually had a recent, someone reached out to me who's collaborating with a very well-known professor, and they wrote a paper on AI ethics in relation to non-human animals. So considering a wider scope of affect that AI has. And I gave like pointed advice, and we talked for an hour, and I said, look, I'll just send my Fireflies over. He said, what is that? And, you know, I sent over this transcript and audio and listed kind of all my points. So now he can review everything rather than just trying to remember me rambling on for an hour. So he found it very useful. As someone who works in the AI space, he didn't know about it. So I think, which is forgivable. I mean, things are popping up left and right, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, I just came across an advertisement for video training for companies, and it has a human looking guy in front, or a girl, or whatever you choose. And the avatar kind of just explains whatever you type and prepare for training videos. So very impressive. I mean, the cadence, I mean, this is cool stuff.
But so we're not too jargonistic. For people that don't know, I've put the link, so's Richard. It's free to sign up. It's your kind of AI assisted note taker. So what's the AI in that tool?
Rupa? I mean, I know the answer, but you know, yes. Rupa, what's the AI in Fireflies then?
It is NLP.
That's right.
So natural language processing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Conversion.
Okay, so people can go and find that out. Now, we've just done this briefly, but obviously what we would encourage you to do is go into this in more detail when you have more time. You might want to look at all of the options. You might then go looking for other AI things that are around. They're appearing every day. Obviously, wear a critical hat. And my critical question for you is it cool? It's how genuinely useful is it? Does it meet a need either in you or your colleagues? Yeah. And some of you, if you're in leadership roles, management roles, running teams, get your team to do this exercise and tune into the notion of useful, needful AI. And so just to kick that off, the idea now, I'm going to leave Richard to sort this out. We obviously want to have a good mix of the participants here and also the colleagues and MKAI people as well. And please take part in this with what you chose, Jerry or Rupert or Karen or anyone else. But let's go into some groups. I don't know if it's 5 or 4, but we want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to take part in this. But this is, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. Let's share what we found here. Why did you choose it? What need does it meet? And hopefully you found at least one that you could try out tomorrow. And if we were meeting, you'd feedback and go, oh, this one was terrible. This one, I'm actually using it now and I'm really impressed. And I'm trying the free version, but the next step might be to, you know, pay the premium version and do a project in your organization to use it and measure it. But it's affordable and it's usable immediately. So can we break into some groups? I would suggest about 15 minutes.
Oh.
Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
It is. Good to see you all again. Right, we are well through time because we're just going so quickly. So we've got 10 past the hour already, and we've got a scheduled stop at 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand the reins over to Rupa Singh, who's here. We'll do a 15-minute slot now. There we go, a 50-minute slot now on some analysis of artificial intelligence and get into the other side of it, which is not just the off-the-shelf, low-cost, no-cost. Then we'll hear from you. So Rupa, run us until somewhere between 20 and 25 past the hour. And then if we're still chatting, we'll keep the meeting open a little bit longer if you guys are still finding it useful and want to share some more examples. Does that sound good? Get some thumbs up.
Great.
Excellent. Rupa, we're with you.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. And thank you for having me. And it's a pleasure being here. And thank you all the participants for being here while you could have been doing so many other things, but you decided to be in this event, learning about AI and being with MKAI. So great, congratulations to all of you. So before I go ahead further, I just want to ask you that what do you understand by AI? So you might have heard about artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science. So do you think that all these are same or, these are different? Any idea on that? Do you think that artificial intelligence and machine learning is the same? If you think so, please type in the chat window, yes. A sub-branch, I would say, okay. That's Richard. Great.
Yeah, so just pop in the chat there. Are those words interchangeable for you? Deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence, or do you see them as very different entities? So just put same or different if you want in the chat. Just answer Rupa's question.
And why do we have so much of buzzword right now about AI? So what has changed in few years? And we are listening so much about the AI and machine learning and data science. Okay, great. AI is a broad, machine learning is sub part of. Okay, that's great. So we'll just understand a little bit of, technical aspect of it, understanding what is AI, machine learning, data science, and deep learning. And, what is supervised and unsupervised learning and about the data and how it is transforming businesses. Okay. So let me just share my screen and just a second. Please let me know if my screen is visible.
We've got it.
Great. So I'll just, write down a few things. So as we know that AI is an overarching umbrella, it's, it's an umbrella term, and this is AI. And so we have subsets of AI, which is machine learning. And deep learning is again a subset of machine learning. And data science is somewhere, it encompasses all of AI, machine learning, and deep learning. So what is the difference between machine learning and why AI is, what is artificial intelligence? So it is just like when we have computers. So earlier, if we want computers to do some programming or to do some tasks, so we write down a lot of programs, and whether, switching on the fan, or whether you are commenting on social media, whether you're using your mobile phones or whether you are using your calculator. So we write down all the programs explicitly and then telling the computers that what task needs to be done. But in AI, we give machines a lot of data, about millions and billions of data to the machines. Okay, these millions amount of data are fed to the machines, and machines learn from these data. And so once they learn, again, so these data, so where does the data comes from? The data comes from all the social media feeds that we have, from all the different sources of data, such as social media. We have organizational data, and we are generating millions amount of data every single minute from Facebook, whether you engage in Facebook, whether you watch YouTube, whether you order your food through online applications, whether you are doing any transaction in your for bank applications. So whatever activity that we are doing online, it is creating a lot of data, and every single minute we are generating millions and trillions amount of data, and that is being used by companies to process these data. And so these data, it is in the form, let's talk about DIKW framework. And the data itself is not, for example, if we talk in the pyramid form, so here is D, I, K, and W. So what does D stands for? D stands for the data. And data that we have in our world is in the form of structured and unstructured data. And unstructured data is around 80% to 70% of unstructured data that we have. Okay, and 20 to 30% we have structured data. So the only data does not make any sense until and unless it becomes information. So unstructured data, so what do we mean by structured data? Any example of structured data that you can think of? Do you have any example of structured data? Okay. Let's see in the chat, e-commerce transactions. Okay, great. CRM database. Yes, amazing. Okay, so structured data is something which is in the form of an Excel form, and we have the data which is readily understood, and it is easily understood, and it is readable. For example, if we have an e-commerce data and or an employee data, so we take the name of the employees, the age, the employee number or salary, or maybe the employee joining date. Okay, the joining date. And again, the date can be in any format. For example, somebody can write down like March 22 or 3/22 or something like that. So it can be in different format. So again, this needs to be processed. This needs to be cleaned and created in a right format so that it is converted into the structured data. And the unstructured data is in the form of audio, video, or images. And all these data need to be converted to the structured format so that it makes sense. So here is the data, and then it gets into, it becomes information when it is converted and when it is processed, and and then you say that since in employee data or in HR data, we have a lot of employees records in HR department. So just data, it does not make sense. But when it is collected properly, for example, in the last quarter, how the employees performed, or what was the sales and revenue that the companies generated in the previous quarter and in this quarter. So this becomes an information. And when information is converted into knowledge, and then knowledge is converted into wisdom, where we have prescriptive data. Sorry, this is descriptive data. And then predictive data. And then we have prescriptive data. So descriptive data is, you are just describing your data. For example, in today's session, that we have 23 participants, and from different places, what are the backgrounds of the participants, and for what time, or how long the participants have been engaging in this event. So these are descriptive data. And what is predictive data is like when you are creating next event, and you want to know that you can predict that how many people will be joining next, or from which part of the country, from which backgrounds, educational background or professional background, which are the people that are going to join. And then prescriptive analytics is when you want to increase the number of participation by improving the some of the things, and then you prescribe. And so here the AI works. Here is just the describing about your data, and predictive data and prescriptive data is where the AI and analytics actually work. Okay, so all right. So what is machine learning is, machine learning is when we are not explicitly writing the code or writing the programs to tell computers what to do. For example, you want computers to recognize that this is a cat. So writing this program about to the computers that this is a cat, it can be very tedious task, because you have to write the program to tell the face and the ears, the tails and legs, and this can be very tedious for a programmer to write down all the coding to recognize whether this is a cat or a dog. So with machine learning, what we do is we give millions of data, thousands and millions of data or images of the cat, and to the machine learning model. And the machine learning model learns from the previous data that we provide. And next time you give the image of a cat, so machine learning knows that this image is of a cat or a dog. So this is how machine learning performs. And then we have, supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and reinforcement learning. Okay. Any example, any idea on supervised machine learning?
You're asking the audience? You're asking attendees, Rupa. We've got 1 minute left of your time.
Okay, Sure. Okay, so supervised machine learning where, we have label data. So if we know that this is a cat and we give the machines, so machine is basically trained with training data. So data is split into training and testing data. So most of the time it is training data is 80% and the machine learning model is trained by using 80% of the training data and then tested on 20% of the test data, which is completely separate from, the training data that we have. So in this case, for supervised machine learning, we already know, for example, here I take, if I draw circles, square, triangles, and I already have these labels as circle and square and triangle. So these are the labels that I already know, and I give the machine learning model. For example, this is a machine learning model. And I feed all these data. And next time when I show that whether this is what is this image? So once the machine learning model learns from this training data, it says that it is a circle, right? But in unsupervised machine learning model, we just have these figures, and we do not know that we do not have the labels of these. So it does clustering in unsupervised machine learning. It does the clustering based on the similarities of these data. For example, it just clusters all the circles together and all the squares together and all the triangles together. So this is where the clustering happens. And in real time, this is used for customer segmentation based on their, purchase history, what kind of, products that they're buying, or what are their preferences. So this is used for customer segmentation. And it is also used for anomaly detection in case of fraud detection for credit card risk. And this is used for, a lot of examples such as, predicting the sales. Again, we have here regression and—
Okay, 30 seconds, Rupa.
Sure.
We're at 28 past. We agreed 25.
Okay. So we have here regression and classification. And so with these, we know that, we can tell whether an email is a spam or a non-spam, whether it is going to rain or not rain, or whether, the customer will default or not default. So this is how, supervised and unsupervised machine learning works. And then reinforcement learning works on the feedback mechanism, the way we have learned cycling or swimming when we were kids. So when we start learning cycling, we might have fallen a couple of times, but when we know that, this is not how we should pedal, but I should pedal in a different way. So similarly, the reinforced learning works. And it is used for self-driving cars and for for like robotic cleaners and all that. Yeah.
Bravo. Thank you so much. And sorry for rushing you.
Oh, that's okay.
You squeezed it in. So it's 29 minutes past, Rupa. Thank you so very much for taking us through that today. Really wanted to give a flavor of, thanks, Jason, of, off the shelf, low cost, no cost, and then bring in some of the data science as well so that we can cover as much as possible in this short time. Obviously, we hope to do these things again, but it's really great for you to introduce that material to us today. It looked like a lot of people were following it really well, and I'm not surprised. You really beautifully put that forward, and I love the way you were drawing on the screen. I need to learn how to do that. Please do just put a note in the chat, just thanking Rupa with me for that 20 minutes or so that she spent with us today, volunteering her time as well, of course, her extremely valuable time. So thank you for that. Paul, it's 1:30, so this is the time that we'd agreed to end the workshop. So what I suggest we do is we pull this to a soft close now, and we say, if you've got to get back on with your day, you've got things to do, then we'll say thank you and goodbye to you in a few seconds. But from my perspective, I'm happy to keep this call open. We'll have a bit of an after party because I'd love to hear how some of the chats went in the breakout rooms. I'd love to hear what people might be putting forward or implementing in their business. So Paul, if you're okay with that, we'll say goodbye and then we'll say, you know, how's it going? Get a thumbs up from Paul. So for those who've got to go, thanks for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you. You know where to find us, mkai.org or team@mkai.org if you want to email us, chat with us, let us know what you thought. What can we do better? How can we take this forward and do more locally? Because we are super keen. And thank you for everybody who got involved today, who spoke, shared, commented, chatted, and spent time in the breakout rooms. Thank you to the team as well. Thank you, Paul and Vermeer and Rupa so far. And I hope some of you stay, so because it would be great to hang out a bit longer. So I'll say goodbye. And
really,
then we'll see who stays.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I hope you took something of value. I remember my first few days and months in the journey of AI. It was so overwhelming, but it's like a drug. You kind of get hooked on it, and they improve the drug or they take out all the negative effects of it, side effects. So really encouraging you all to explore more deeply your personal interaction with this field. And I'm always open, so just reach out to me if you want a one-on-one. So thank you, Richard and Paul. Thanks to the team. Love you guys.
Who do you want to hear from? Who do you want to hear what they're looking to implement or what they looked into in the breakout rooms? Do you want to suggest a few people and we'll hear from them?
Me? Yeah, I'm trying to find the one person. I think he wasn't able to. Soyapi Mumba, are you there? Did you want to share a little bit more about what you were feeling in the session? And I'll leave it off to him. And if not, we have Dr. Roderick, who might also be a really good contributor. So I'll leave it to them. Thank you.
You're very welcome to host this part of the session, Vermeer, if you'd like. Roderick.
Yes.
Yeah, what did you talk about? I'd love to hear some more from you.
No, like I said, that we really need the implementation of the AI in Malawi. And like I said, that we need more workshops and more seminars in Malawi. Most of the Malawians are religious. They have a lot of beliefs and norms, and AI, and then a breakaway in terms of religious beliefs. It's also very important that we need to clear the mist, and also the youth, for example, in Malawi would want to go through the AI process. We need to exploit the challenges or the advantages that AI has on human beings in a country like Malawi. Look at our hospitals, the scanning machines, the calculators, and everything, the microscope that we have on how accurate they are. We really, really need to do that. And I would want to have a second round of the seminar, perhaps even looking at the broadcasting machines, the software used in television and radio, the signals and the frequencies. This is going to be way ahead of, and even the introduction of AI in primary schools and secondary schools and universities in Malawi. It's very critical as it is, the usage of the satellite images and the fiber optic and so on. So for me, it's very critical, and how I wish we could actually just meet. Maybe the first meeting we can host in Malawi, that you people could come in and also share to the people issues to do with AI. Because sometimes you believe issues that we focus on are tissues instead of focusing on issues like AI. But these are new phenomenon. The majority of our people might not make a distinction between humans, AI, the machines, and like what one has been saying, the data that we get, how it is transformed into information and knowledge and perspective and so on and so forth. So we really need AI in a country like Malawi. And actually it can develop this country in terms of agriculture and a number of issues. So broadcasting and television, where television is viewed as just for entertainment and music, but AI is very, very critical. And it's one subject that I would even push to have even the members of parliament to talk about it, even the civil society organizations, NGOs, on how they can benefit from AI. If you look at the past 40 years, we talk about the same issues. Oh, this did not happen, and so on and so forth. And we haven't taken advantage of the digitization, taken advantage of AI per se. And like I said, even humans should also be able to know that AI would complete this synergy. And because if you work, if you partner and you complement, you don't do one thing together, because you are just complementing and you are walking alone, going the other direction. But when you look at the advantages and the merits of AI and humans, if you complete and if you are able to translate what AI is able to read inside the skull, in the brain, and then the humans would come in and treat that. That's what I was like talking about to you to say is the politics of language. That when you use wisdom and intelligence, in our vernacular language in Chichewa, we have what we call Lunta and Nzeru. The language is being used interchangeably, but when you study critically on the AI issues, you see the difference between intelligence and wisdom. And the young ones in Malawi would love to have certain things like those ones, where we even generate some cartoons that can inform on how to develop their own country, on how to grow better crops and so on and so forth. Instead of just complaining, these are some of the issues that African countries like Malawi per se, we are inviting these organizers of this seminar to come and also try to sensitize our masses. And I would love to do that. And I would be glad to champion that. Thank you.
Love to talk more about that. There's so much I could say back to the wonderful speech that you just gave there. And I mean, the idea of our community, and it represents over 95 different countries anyway. I'm a white guy living in England, but none of us chose where to be born, and my GPS coordinates don't make me who I am. So I hope, MKAI, we are world citizens, right? We care as much about the UK, the US, Malawi. We represent 7 countries and 5 continents just on the leadership team. So everywhere matters to us. Everywhere is important, especially places where we can potentially make an impact. And we're all about knowledge transfer. And, we want to see, like you're saying, the people in your country developing solutions, sure, that generate revenues. But, there's so much to do around agriculture, like you say, and resilience and climate change adaptation, disaster prevention, disease prevention. These are massive things that need to be rising up, right?
Yes.
So thanks for let's talk more. Let's see what makes this possible.
Please.
So Yapi, you've turned your camera on. What's on your mind?
Yes. Yeah, thanks. So it's an interesting discussion, and I'd just like to add back. So firstly, from the exercise, from the group exercise, if I talk about my day job, I like AI, the computer science background, and when I was doing my master's, that's when I did some courses on AI and machine learning. And since then, I've been trying to find ways in which I could practice more. So I do run an online community of soccer fans or football fans. So there's a lot of user-generated content, and there's some opportunity to use AI to moderate the content and also improve the content in some way. So that's some of the things that I haven't started applying AI yet, but I was thinking of content moderation I'll turn on my video. Let's see I turn off my video. My internet is unstable. So yeah, the tool about plagiarism remover, editing photos using AI. Those are some of the things that I can try and apply or test out. And the customer service chatbot, and individually the Firefly is one. Just to add to the contribution to the discussion on like having maybe a follow-up workshop, I would like to hope not to sabotage, but to share that there's a machine learning conference being organized in October. It's hosted by other university, Malawi, MOBAS, Malawi University for Business and Applied Sciences. It would be interesting to have you guys maybe do a talk there, and because those are usually a group of like-minded people who are already interested in studying or trying this out, and I think it would be a good way to bring this discussion forward, and also for Dr. Roderick, if we can also try and share your use cases there, and I think there'll be students that may be maybe be able to have a project that can assist with your broadcasting session. Yeah, that's what I had to add. Thank you.
Exciting. Yeah, I'd love to support. We've got a great team here, some great contributors, some great knowledge. If you don't have to have the chief disruptor myself, who tends to get agitated in these sessions about how crap the world is, but we have some other wonderful speakers. So let's talk about that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see there's others that have stayed. That could be for two reasons. One, you've got things to contribute, or two, you've just left your Zoom on and gone to have a cup of tea. We'll find out. Stephen, are you around? Stephen's on tea duty. Emmanuel, are you still there? And Alfred?
Hello, so I am around. Unfortunately, I joined late because I was committed at work.
That's okay. Yeah,
But,
I saw you joined a little later, but you're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And I've enjoyed the discussion so far. So I'm working in the higher education space. I'm an administrator. I would have loved to join early because I was trying to, so I've heard of the AI concept. It's something I understand, but I would say at a very amateur level. But I think it's a field that can have a lot of application in the education sector. I'm in admin, and there are so many things that we go through that require, previously it was manual, and then some form of digitization, but they still need to be manned by officers. And looking at the growth trajectory that most Malawian institutions are on, I think embedding aspects of AI in many of the processes that we handle, as well as including it in curricula, I think it's something that would go a long way in helping the adoption or the awareness at the country level. As the previous speakers have already said, it's still a strange concept to many. And we do use a lot of international systems or websites like Google and YouTube. We don't necessarily connect with what happens with the suggestions as being an aspect of AI. So it's good, but yes, I'm looking forward to finding ways how best I can champion the application of AI at my own workplace, looking at the processes that we go through, whether it's student assessment, whether it's getting student feedback, and in whatever way we can use it. I think that would be very useful. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on with that. Paul, are you there, or are you just away for a second? I see your camera's gone off.
No, I'm here.
Did you hear what Alfred said?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you're really connected into higher education, aren't you?
And I think, something that in higher education we're now starting to teach students is the starting phase of AI commercially has been that large corporations with large scaled up projects and products have dominated. But what we're now teaching the students is digital skills. And part of that skill set, a bit like you're saying, just applying it in your own business or department, is to start at the other end, is to find tools that you become digitally tuned into. We've looked at some in this meeting around productivity and time management and lots of others. And so the place to start now is small and then scale outwards, not outside in. And that's one of the biggest problems, is that a lot of companies have failed in their AI projects because they didn't really understand AI in the first place, which is why Rupert's session was important. So I think digital literacy is now developing to include AI, but it starts with the individual and the team and doesn't start outside in with the large organization and the high budget project.
Does that resonate with you, Alfred, the way that Paul's describing that?
Yeah, yes, it does. And he just mentioned one thing that I immediately connected, for example, time management. It's something that you would look at every day, but you wouldn't really think that that's an area that AI can help manage, both in terms of scheduling courses, as well as handling meetings. University is an environment where we call it collegial. So most of the decisions are made collectively, such that you have more meetings than most institutions have. So what Paul said is something I can immediately connect with. And it also helps to note that the key is to start small and scale up, as opposed from outside in. It's indeed true. So I agree with that. And I would do a bit more research, Paul. Are there any resources that you can immediately refer someone to in this regard, whether it's a website or projects that you have worked on elsewhere that I would want to look at and just understand more how you are doing it in the education space? Thank you.
If you weren't here earlier, I'm not sure if you got that link, but we worked with a list that have got some of those very usable, you might call them quick win AI products. So I'm just putting the same link again. And on there are some academic tools using AI. There's one around plagiarism and managing that. There's one about proper note taking. There's time management. There's one that helps you write journals and reflect. So these might be some, if you have a look on that list, these might be good, some starting points. And they're all free to start with. You can get a trial account, so you don't have to invest at the high level before you've actually developed that. I sometimes call it digital affinity. That if you don't feel an affinity with AI, then you're always the non-expert in a kind of weaker bargaining position with yourself and other people. So yeah, have a look on that list and maybe just chase up one or two of the tools that already exist that you like the look of.
Thanks, Paul. That's appreciated.
Great. Good to see that. Yeah, that's a good list. It's really good, Paul. I mean, you found a lot of resources on there. I mean, we're active. We do a lot of work with colleges, actually, 16 to 18, but also with the adult learning side of things, particularly. And, you know, we've talked a lot about Malawi today, but there's a huge skill gap over here in the UK. You know, it's a real problem. We've got a big digital divide. These sort of technologies as well, they're well placed for the modern world. For example, we're doing more and more in virtual reality now for the colleges here. And one of the reasons is the supply chain that Paul mentioned right at the start. We teach people to weld using virtual reality, where of course you don't need to use any raw materials or any energy. Well, I mean, you've got the energy of the VR headset, of course, and the data. Let's not forget that, but a lot less than putting on the equipment. We've actually had students go and become welders based on the training they've done in VR, and it's, you know, piqued their interest. And the supply chain doesn't become a problem anymore. You know, same for all the metalwork and the woodworks and the hairdressing, all these sort of things. It's going to have to change. We cannot rely on having so many raw materials available to us anymore in the educational world. So it's exciting. And Paul talks about a pedagogical approach, you know, really making sure that we're pushing things in terms of interactivity. So yeah, I don't know how transferable these workshops are. We try not to have a massive carbon footprint, but you know, we're doing this because we're keen and we want to see countries like Malawi who have shown a lot of interest in the past, a lot of enthusiasm and appetite for these things. You know, let's find a way, right? Jerry, you want to comment?
Yeah, a few things have crept into my tiny mind over the last hour or so. One is the little groups that we've worked in, the little workshops. CJ from Bermuda said that she's found some very useful material in there and resource for a big conference that they have that they're preparing for, which will take place quite soon.
Oh, great.
Particularly accessibility tools, which I thought was interesting. Peter, who left us some time ago in the medical sector, was talking about artificially intelligent diagnostics, triage, preliminarily for patients, he thought would be really useful. And I was struck by two things. I investigated 3 areas, but they weren't related directly to the areas. One was, how many people do we see with smartphones in the street at the moment looking grumpy and oh, this connection's awful, and I'm not getting a reply quickly. When I think from an AI perspective, they're holding a small miracle in their hand, where I can send a text now to any of the attendees in Malawi that will be there in a millisecond. I think that's just astounding. And if you extend that to people in queues in airports looking miserable at departure boards, going, oh, my flight's been delayed by an hour and a quarter, this is a tragedy. But in an hour and a half's time, they're going to be sitting in an armchair in the sky. So I kind of think we acclimatize very quickly and take this technology for granted very, very quickly. And most of it's actually amazing.
That's a really good observation. And you're right, it's incredible. And I mean, the irony, I mean, I'm writing this book about big tech and I'm slagging off big tech whilst using Google Docs to write it. I mean, the irony is not lost on me. Yeah. Emmanuel, do you want to make a final comment and then we'll perhaps bring this session to a close? No, it's no problem. So, Yapi, do you want a final word?
Not much. Thanks for hosting this. And yeah, looking forward to more discussions and applications of AI. Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, sounds good to me. And Stephen, I think you've stepped away, Stephen, but if you're there, you're very welcome to say a word or a goodbye or anything if you wish. Okay. Great seeing you. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Don't work too hard. Thanks, team. Thanks, everybody who was here. Absolute great pleasure to spend time with you. And let's do it again soon. Let's do more. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.